visited Maldives, Mauritius, all the smaller island countries there, that India is a net security provider. So India will not back away in spite of threats from China. India has shown that India will not be cowed down by Chinese pressure. India is not a small country where China can threaten. India will protect its long-term strategic interests even if it risks a conflict. Probably China might have been upset with the closeness of India, US, Japan probably, so it is just to psychologically affect India. So China claims cites the 1890 convention signed by between China and Great Britain, British Empire, that the boundary between Sikkim and Tibet will be the crest of the mountain range, separating the water divide, crest, CREST. But even there, China is wrong, because north of Doklam range is a mountain which is the crest of the mountains there. Interpretation is completely wrong. And China's present stance goes against the bilateral agreement signed between India and China in 2012, that the tri-junction point between India, China and third countries will be finalized in consultation with the third countries, cannot be done unilaterally by China or India. So it is a tri-junction of India, China and Bhutan. So any boundary dispute in the tri-junctions will be done in consultation with the third country. So China here was unilaterally trying to change the boundary by building a road. So China does not have a permanent presence in Doklam. Often they come for patrols, but not a permanent presence. By constructing a road, they will be having a permanent presence. So that will support that argument. We have already built it, you didn't object it at that time, so therefore it is ours. That's the whole idea of China. Go there in unoccupied areas, pitch your tent there and claim that is mine. Right. That will strengthen their claim, because they are already physically controlling that area, like Aksai Chin. Previously also they did the same thing in 1962. So therefore India now has learnt the lessons from 1962 and took proactive action to prevent China from occupying the high mountain range, which will give them a strategic advantage over India. Like this you have to conclude it. So what's the right strategy? At the same time, when it was very clear that India will not back down, so China has to accept the reality and withdrew after having a face-saving formula. We have to put it that way, because even though India has not officially said, China was this year hosting the BRICS summit. India may not go, or even if they go, the Prime Minister may bring this issue in the BRICS summit speech itself. So that will embarrass China in front of the world, and they will support the claim that China is an aggressor and is threatening other countries. So China wanted to avoid a diplomatic backlash. So that is the reason they decided to disengage at that point. But given the three warfare strategy, such incidences are going to increase in the future. As India improves its relations with both Japan and US, this kind of incidences, because it's part of a calculated strategy by China. So India should be very strong to counter this strategy. So this Doklam could be asked, because it's a recent one, never knows anything about it. So because any conflict cannot be contained to the local areas, so it will spread out of control. So China also realizes that this is not the time for war, because settling the boundary dispute with India is not the priority of China. China's priority is South China Sea and East China Sea for strategic reasons. South China Sea, huge hydrocarbon reserves, and they have historical dispute with Japan. So therefore the icy heights of Himalayas, they don't want to risk a conflict over nothing. They are not going to gain. They already got Chumbi. Why fight over Doklam? Right now they won't risk anything. But they are not going to stop the road building. That is an ongoing process that will continue. May not be this year because winter will set in by end of this month. It will be difficult in that area. Once the winter ends next year, probably next May, they will start that project again. Okay. But of course, this alone is not enough. So the problem is India in both Nepal and Bhutan is India has promised lot of infrastructural help which has not happened, it has been delayed. So that is the reason Nepal now goes to China for building of infrastructure. The road or railway or power projects, all of them are way behind schedule. So they are giving contracts to Chinese companies to build infrastructure. So India has to step up its, for example, we announced LOC, line of credit, but never it's implemented. Africa ko diye hain, Bangladesh ko diye hain, nothing has happened. We signed MOUs, but we forgot to implement it. That is why last year also they asked a question in economy mein, so many MOUs are signed for FDI, but the actual FDI coming is very less. What is the reason behind it? Right. Lakhs of crores of things will be signed. Vibrant Gujarat Summit mein. In reality, nothing will, very little will come. Right. Time pass hai. Pradhan jayenge udhar 20 MOUs will be there. You will say agreements. They are not agreements, they are MOUs. We will think about it. That is what MOU says. It's not a legal contract. It's not a financial closure. Nahi hai. MOU. Dekh lenge type. Dekh lenge to follow up karna hai na. So the problem is lack of follow up. One of the major reasons has been the very low number of diplomats what India has. India's diplomatic corps is less than that of Singapore. That's the biggest problem. So how can we become a great power when we cannot follow up? For example, Africa is a big market for India, but India does not have diplomatic mission in many African countries. Maybe 3-4 months back, Rwanda president came to India. India signed a strategic partnership with Rwanda, and India has do not have a diplomatic mission in Rwanda. So Modi ji has to explain what is the meaning of strategic partnership with Rwanda. It's a reality. But we keep signing agreements when you have no means of enforcing it. Follow up karne ke liye, there should be officials. Right? Prime Minister level par bigger things only will be there. That has to be done. Then you have to have contacts between the businessmen. Right? Private sector ko cooperation bahut acha karna hai. So that is the biggest missing factor there. Bangladesh ke saath we have signed $4.5 billion. Uske pehle hi diye hain. And no contract, not even a single contract has been signed. The same is true with African countries. But every African summit mein we increase the LOC. What is the point? When no project has been done, nothing has been identified, then what is the point? 5 billion, 10 billion, you announce 100 billion also, 1 trillion also, more than a reserves also you can say, when we have no intention of implementing it. That's a problem with Indian mindset of the bureaucracy. Right? Only red tapeism, delays, procedural things they will say. So that misses it. So all the things, for example, Prime Minister when he visited Nepal, he said immediately karenge. So there one agreement. India has to sign agreements in the 1950s, Kosi Treaty and other treaty, and India is responsible for flood protection in Nepal. But you have not done anything to protect floods. Every year like northern Bihar, Terai region of Nepal is also flooded. In 1996 he signed an agreement for building 6,000 megawatt in river water hydroelectric project there. Aaj tak kuch bhi ek stone bhi nahi kiya hai. Modi ji visited in 2014, announced in the parliament, ek saal ke andar I will have the project report ready. 3 saal ho gaya, kuch nahi hua hai. How will they give any projects? Nepal has potential 80,000 megawatt hydroelectric power. Now it is producing less than 2%, and it is heavily power deficient and buys power from India. When it can export power, it is deficient. Why? Nepal doesn't have the money, Nepal doesn't have the technology. We say we will do it, we sign agreements, MOUs, but we never bother about it. Now China is building projects. How can you blame China for it? When we refuse to deliver, when we cannot build it in our side, how can we build it there? There itna corruption hai, red tapeism hai, Nothing moves in India. Files doesn't move in India, and you're also going to become part of the same bureaucracy, which is one of the major reasons for the sorry state of affairs in India. Right? So this is a problem. So we need to follow it up. So when we are recruiting 30 people every year IFS, how can we have great power ambitions? How many people are recruited? You know it, I know it. How many? 30, 35 Cooper doesn't, they don't recruit it every year to IFS. For such a big country, we need to recruit 200 people, 300 people annually. Then only we can have more missions, and in missions more officers, then we can follow it up. Abhi, when before Prime Minister goes, 1 month pehle, either officials from Delhi go there, senior officials go there, okay, either maximum sign karna, either number is more important. Like civil servicemen, both log sochte hain, number of points are important. So they will rephrase one point and write it as 4 different points. As if examiner is a fool and give you marks after reading some same point go, 3 bar likhenge, slightly different. First point will be the same thing, 4th point will be the same thing, 10th point. They will gap bhi de denge iska, so that they think they are intelligent. They are filling the space. ऐसा नहीं होने वाला है अभी तो. A gimmicks don't work. People read everything and give you marks, and you will get negative marks for doing all this stuff. You will get negative image about you. ऐसा मत कर लीजिए. Never bluff in this world में. So that's what we think. We want number of more. Modi ji गए हैं, some beer hug. So that is also important factor. Personalized diplomacy cannot overcome the problems of economic diplomacy is the most important thing. Economic diplomacy means trade and investment. So that is where India fails. Connectivity hai to only then trade and investment can boost. We have very little connectivity. Right. For example, Nepal, the road connectivity is very, very bad. India is supposed to build railways into Nepal to Kathmandu. We are not doing. Right. Less said. Whereas China has already built roads on Nepal side, on India's border. If you go to the other side, the major crossing is Raxaul, Bihar. Major crossing between India and Nepal, where most of the trade goes through, because whatever shipping is done through Kolkata port. So that is the reason. More than UP side, near the Champaran district, Raxaul, na? You are from Gorakhpur, okay? Aapka thoda aur still further east. So that's the area. Indian side pathetic. बिहार में रोड ही नहीं है. कहाँ है रोड? बिहार में रोड नहीं है. Whereas on if you cross to the other side, China has built beautiful infrastructure on the Nepal side. So the delay in trade is on the Indian side, not on the Nepal side. So if anybody is traveling from Nepal, they will think that they have moved from a first world country to a third world country when they come to India. So that is the level of infrastructure what you are building within India. So how can you build there? That's the problem. But we signed MOUs, but we never had the intention of implementing anything. So unless India improves and whatever promises we have made in the neighborhood, so India cannot utilize the good image or the respect what India has got in the neighborhood. So that is not a substitute to infrastructure building, because all this cultural diplomacy, historical, geographical connections, etc. are about the past, whereas economic diplomacy is all about future. I will build infrastructure in double quick time, and in the not only fast but also cheaper than anybody else. That's what China's USP. That's what it makes China stronger and stronger. So so that's the same thing. Anything infrastructure building, you have to take the help of Japan. That is where the strategic partnership in Japan comes into the picture. Okay. So Afghanistan mein, whether the recent announcements by Trump, whether it will change the present state of affairs. So when the present government came, so it wanted good relations with Pakistan, because everybody knows Pakistan controls Taliban. So they thought that by having good relations with Pakistan, they can rein in Taliban. But unfortunately, they were not able to do so. So they are becoming more strident again. I think now he is, Ghani is speaking more like Karzai only after 2 years, 2.5 years. So now they want more help from India, US, NATO and other countries to counter the rising threat of Taliban. But the Afghan polity is divided because the election result itself was fractured mandate. Right? Ghani represents the Pashtuns, who are around 40% of the populations, whereas his chief executive, that's a post equivalent to prime minister, is Abdullah, who is supported by other majorities, particularly by Tajiks, who all fear Pashtun domination. So there's a clear divide. Most of the Afghan army is made up of Tajiks and Uzbek fighters, not Pashtuns. Whereas Taliban is mainly made up of Pashtuns. So it's essentially that fight. So whereas the Tajik fighters, they are also fearsome fighters, no doubt. They can fight the Pashtuns. We cannot fight the Pashtuns. They are towering above us, all 6.5, 7 feet guys there. We cannot fight that. But Tajiks and Uzbeks may fight. But they don't want to fight in Pashtun areas because they are seen as an occupation army. In Kandahar and the Pashtun dominated provinces where Taliban is very strong. So they have no incentive. Why I am going and fighting and losing my wife? This is not my home. My home is Panjshir Valley. If Taliban comes there, I will fight them there. Why should I fight in Kandahar? So they have no emotional connect with that people. So they won't defend. So they are not motivated, they are not properly trained, whereas Taliban is religiously minded. It's not only Pashtun, it is religious warriors.
This Kandahar area,
Pashtun, yeah. The south Kabul tak, so it is Hindu Kush mountain is a dividing line. South of Hindu Kush is Pashtun, north of that is Tajiks and Uzbeks. So that is the thing. Whereas Iranian border is Shias. Herat area. Yes, Herat is north of Kandahar. So all the areas bordering to Pakistan is Pashtun dominated. So that's why Taliban sets up bases in the Pashtun areas of Pakistan, in the NWFP. They are also Pashtuns. So they support them also. So but Pashtun is not, Taliban is not an ethnic group. Majority are Pashtuns, not all. There are Arabs are also there. There are other people are also there. So but it is a religious organization who wanted to impose Shariat, who follow Wahhabism, Wahhabi form of Islam, Saudi Islam. Right? So that is the thing which is going on there. So it is now, in spite US under Trump, under Obama has announced a major withdrawal. Because even though US has launched attacks in 2001, right, then established democracy, conducted elections, etc., they are not able to fulfill their objective. Taliban is still there. Even though US has killed Osama bin Laden, still Al-Zawahiri is still there. Al-Qaeda leadership is also there. Most of the Taliban leadership lives in Quetta and Karachi under safe houses provided by ISI. Right? So now slowly US is analyzing and understanding the double game being played by Pakistan. So Pakistan gets a lot of aid because it is a frontline state. Because US has troops in Afghanistan, which is a landlocked country. So all the logistics supply goes through Pakistan. That is why so far US has been depending upon Pakistan. It's not that they don't know that Pakistan provides support to Taliban. And Taliban is the one which fights the American-led forces there. US has trained the Afghan army, but still it is poorly trained, poorly armed, hardly any motivation. So therefore they are ceding ground to Taliban, particularly in the countryside. This is almost controlled now by them. And US knows it in the beginning, from the beginning itself. But their ability to act against Pakistan is limited because they are completely dependent upon Pakistan on providing logistic supply. Right. But now under Trump, they are trying to do so. And apart from that, Pakistan has been a close friend of ally of US from the Cold War days. So Pakistan enjoys enormous support in Pentagon. They have got, unlike India, so they got support. India has got support in political thing, in Senate and Congress where India caucus is there. India gives money, India bribes them, both Republican and Democratic senators and congressmen, so therefore supporting. But among the official level, because they got support for the past 50 years. Because they have been fighting Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. So they have been fighting that since that time. So they got a lot of support in that center, official centers. So that's why probably Trump's policies may not be liked by the Secretary of State and military and CIA. Like everybody knows Pakistan supports them, or Taliban. Because they have got a strategic. Pakistan's support to Taliban comes because what it believes as a strategic angle is there. So Pakistan believes if India has a friendly government in Afghanistan, it has to fight a two-front war. Like India faces the dilemma from north and west. So India will attack Pakistan through both sides. Now most of the Pakistani army is put on the border with India. So an unfriendly government will be unviable for them. And they